A very good morning to the students of class 7, and we were discussing about the topic wastewater management, and in the last class we had a talk about how water is being treated in the wastewater treatment plant, because wastewater should not be disposed of. Wastewater, as you know, that it should not be disposed of directly, because that will create lots of pollution in the environment in which we are living. So as we discussed about WWTP, that is wastewater treatment plant, the wastewater is then first actually passed through the screens of vertical bars, and then after that it is led into the chamber of grid chambers, and then after that it is clarified where the organic minerals or materials are being allowed to settle down, and it is removed with a scraper. And this sludge is then being like after the wastewater is being passed into the sedimentation tank. That means sedimentation tank means what? Sedimentation and decantation, you know. That means it is allowed, the water is allowed to left undisturbed, is put in a tank, and then it is left undisturbed where the heavier particles are settled down, and then in that that tank is known as clarifier, because it clarifies the water. That means it cleans the water, and then when the heavier particles they settle down, then it is removed with a scraper. And this is known as this is called the sludge. And the floating materials like the oil and grease, because oil and grease are lighter in means they have lower density, that is why they float over the water, and this is removed with the help of a skimmer. Like just you remove, like suppose you boil milk, and then you get the cream over it, then what happens here, that cream can be removed with the help of a skimmer, and that the same process goes on, and then the water that emerges from the tank is known as the clarified water. That means that is the bit of a clean water. It is not perfectly, please remember, wastewater is not perfectly, though it is being put in the wastewater treatment plant, but it is not clean, not completely clean and free from germs. So this is only that the heavier particles or the lighter particles are being cleaned off, but it is not free from the germs. And then this sludge is then used to obtain methane, carbon dioxide and humus-like materials by the process of digestion. And this consists of digestion means what? It decomposes, it decays. So it helps in breaking into smaller particles. So this process is actually consists of decomposing the sludge with the help of with the help of the anaerobic bacteria. That means this anaerobic bacteria, what they do, the dried sludge can be used as a this anaerobic bacteria, they help up to decompose the materials, and the dried sludge then is used as fertilizers to increase, and it also can be used, the methane part that is used that is formed can be used as a fuel. Now next, what happens then, air is passed through the clarified water in an aeration tank. Aeration tank means where air is being allowed. The tank, in that tank air is allowed to pass through, and this allows the anaerobic bacteria to grow and consume the organic substances or the contaminants like feces, then the food waste or the soap that is still left in the water. Then the bacteria, they settle down at the bottom as activated sludge, and this water is removed from the top. And this is the treatment of the wastewater, and this is used as the dried sludge, as I told you, that can be used as a manure or fertilizers to increase the fertility of the soil. The treated water, the treated wastewater rather, it contains enough levels of organic matter and the suspended impurities to be discharged in the water body. Now as we are talking about the wastewater treatment, that means we are morely concerned about the wastewater that is being let out by the industries, factories or or hospitals. But we have to also keep in touch with the home practices, better homekeeping practices, like we should not dispose of the cooking oils or fats in the kitchen sink, because that will block the pipes, and then when they harden, when they harden it will block it, and that will create lots of problem. And so we should throw them in dustbin. We should not dispose of tea leaves or food remains, then sanitary napkins out in the kitchen sink or in the toilet. They will block the drains, and then they will prevent the free flow of oxygen that interferes with the decomposition process. That means the things will not be getting decomposed. Now, and also we should not decompose chemicals like paints, then medicines and insecticides in the sink. This will kill the microbes that clean the water. Now, what are the alternative methods of the sewage disposal? That is alternative methods. Alternative methods of sewage disposal. So, as we have already talked about the different methods to dispose of the sewage, there are some alternative methods like if you talk about making a sewage system, it is quite expensive, and in places such as small villages or in some farmhouses, the sewage system does not exist. So because it is quite expensive, so what we can do alternatively is that we can use some methods by making septic tank, right? Like the tanks which are being accommodated with your washrooms or the latrines. So that what happens is that the sewage is allowed to flow in the tank, in which the anaerobic bacteria, they decompose the waste water or the waste. And another method is to allow the excreta, that is the human waste or the animal waste, to flow into the biogas plant through the covered drains, and then this biogas produced can be used as a fuel. So, and as I talked about vermicompost toilets, in the recent time, that means the red worms are being used to vermicompost for the vermicompost pit. That means the pit is being dug in, where the red worms are being kept over there. So these red worms actually eat up the waste, and then that can be used as a manure. And to bring out the red worms, we need to throw water in the corner of a pit, and then the water will attract the vermicompost, the red worms towards that water, and after that the substances which is being left behind can be taken out, and then that can be used as organic manures. Now, what is the utility of organic manures is that it does not create any harm, rather it helps you to use the waste that is being given out by the homes or by industries and factories. So that is why this wastewater management is so important for our daily lives, for every human beings, because for human beings to exist, we have to think about our surroundings, and also we have to think about the plants and animals as well. So if you can make the waste, not only wastewater, every waste that is being given out in a fruitful manner, that will help the mankind, and also it will help the future generation also, because rather than thinking about the present time, we have to think about the future, because you are going to live on this earth in the future. So that is why waste, not only wastewater, management of waste is a very important fact in your life, and that is why you should be very careful about managing the waste, whether it is material or whether it is water. So that finishes my chapter, wastewater management. Until that time, do have a good day ahead. Thank you very much.